is Chelsea Watts, and I'm doing a presentation over suicide. It is titled Rise, Reasons, and Prevention of Suicide, and we're going to cover all of those topics in this presentation. The first one is the definition of suicide. Suicide is the deliberate taking of one's own life, usually the result of a psychiatric disorder, although sometimes deliberated in the face of life-threatening illness, significant interpersonal stress, or when under the influence of a substance abuse. That's just one definition. There are multiple definitions, but I feel that this definition covered all of the topics. Factors that lead to suicide. The factors that I chose to talk about are health issues, traumatic experiences, variety of abuse, depression, and bullying. Health issues. So the first health issue is cancer. Breast cancer and pancreatic cancer can occur in both women and men, while prostate cancer is only in men. The reason that cancer has such an impact on people is because of all of the chemotherapy treatments, the hospice, and just the sickness overall is devastating, and they don't want to put a burden on everyone else around them. The second health issue is incurable illnesses, which include mental illnesses such as PTSD. The next one is terminal illnesses such as AIDS, HIV, and heart failure. And the next one is chronic pain. And the chronic pain can be from an accident or an injury and just the constant aching of the bones and muscles in your body. All of these health issues have such an impact on an individual, and everyone handles it differently, but when you know that you might not get better or it's an ongoing situation, the act of suicide is an easy way out for the individuals that are suffering this. The next one is traumatic experiences. That could be a death in the family, depending how close the person was to you and the impact they had on their life, and the time you spent with them depends on how their death affects you. The next one is financial problems. Financial problems include when you owe people money, you're in debt, and sometimes there's not a way out of those, and so you're forced to face these obligations and punishments from the law enforcement or people around you. So the act of suicide is the easiest way out, and it's over and done with. Losing someone you care deeply about, that's not just a death, it's someone leaving you, someone being taken away from you and to where you're not allowed to see them when you have been all along. The next one is divorce. When your spouse leaves you, depending how long you were together for, they are a part of you, so once they are gone, you feel empty inside. The next one is child abuse. When a child is abused, depending the age and depending the how bad it was, the thoughts and the images and the words follow the child on their shoulder for the rest of their life, so they never forget it. The next one is a variety of abuses. So there's substance abuse, which is drugs and alcohol. Their drugs can be prescription or recreational. You can have some type of food disorder, which is bulimia, anorexia, and overeating. And when you face those challenges, your body changes and you act differently and you're not yourself. The next one is physical violence, which is the actual physical contact, and there's sexual violence, which is prostitution, sex trafficking, and molestation. You feel that that's where your self-worth belongs, and so you go out and do these things, but when you're not receiving what you want in return, it causes you to become depressed, so you commit the act of suicide. And the next one is emotional abuse, and that's when your mental state isn't stable. It's very uneven. You're depressed, you're happy, you're mad, you're sad. Your emotions are constantly changing. Depression. Depression is, in my opinion, one of the top key factors in suicide. If you have any of the previous issues or experiences in your life, you're gonna have some type of depression. The level of depression could vary. A statistic that I found that was interesting was the risk of attempting suicide is at least 50% higher for a person diagnosed with depression and experiencing the warning signs and symptoms. So when you're already depressed, you're not at a mental state, so the act of suicide is going to keep reoccurring in your mind. It is such a mental problem that doesn't help the cause of wanting to commit suicide. It kind of almost convinces you. Bullying. So this is a huge factor in young adults and individuals that are in school. Nowadays people are judged by what they wear, what they have, what they drive, and just the money state, where it shouldn't be about that. So if you're not up to date on your clothing, you don't dress and look and have everything that everyone else has, the kids are going to bully you, and when they start to bully you, you become depressed and don't feel like you matter and you don't have enough and you're not enough, and that's not true. There should be strict rules and punishment for anyone caught bullying, so that the bulliers know the impact they're having on others, and they know that it could cause someone to lose their life when they're still children. Bullying can be physical or verbal. You can constantly say things, or you can actually be physical in hitting, pushing, and beating. Warning signs and symptoms. So these include depression, which is when your mood stability isn't there and you're not yourself. Talking about or making plans for suicide. Individuals will typically talk to their peers instead of their parents, because they feel that their peers aren't going to truly believe them. They think they're kidding, so they can talk about it and get it out and see what they have to say to help them. Recent increased agitation or irritability, where you're always just mad, you don't have time for anyone else, you don't want anyone else around you. Expressing hopelessness about the future, saying this is never going to happen, I'll never be there, no one will ever love me, I won't ever matter. And changes in sleep. It can be an increase in sleep or a decrease in sleep. Sometimes people like to sleep it off, or some people like to think about it all night long. And there's displaying severe emotional pain, which is basically going to be depression, but their mental stability, the things they say and do, aren't going to make sense. And preventions. So there's preventions such as counselors who have a degree. They sometimes provide medication. It could be group counseling or individual counseling, and these counselors will help guide them in the right direction. Mood stablers, which are provided by counselors, which help you have a stable mood and not such an unstable mood. Rehab facilities, where you stay there. They have programs and sessions. Sometimes they're group sessions, sometimes they're individual sessions, and you can even meet people with the same problem and connect. And the last one is more education. The more education, the more everyone is aware, and they can help prevent the problem. These are 3 statistics I found that were interesting, and they were eye-openers to me, and I hope they'll be eye-openers to y'all to prevent suicide. The first one is saying there were 41,149 individuals who committed suicide, while 494,000 received treatment. That's too many at too young. And the next one is saying 23,000 people aged 10 to 24 died by suicide. And the last one, it's the 10th most common cause for death of all ages, and the 3rd most common cause among 10 and 14-year-olds, and the 3rd leading cause age 15 to 34. So there are my references, and I hope this was an eye-opener to everyone around, and one day it'll help you prevent people from committing the suicide or help you personally from not committing the suicide. I hope you enjoyed.